What's up, War Rapport family? I'm your host, Caesar Walker, aka C-Dub, and as you can see, the guys are all here tonight, and we got a great show for you guys. We're going to be talking about Pro Day coming up soon for Auburn, as well as some trouble down in Baton Rouge. We got a lot to talk about. Let's not waste any time. So without further ado, let's enter this war room.
You are now listening to the War Rapport. Wednesday night War Room. Ike Jones, Big Will, Caesar Walker, Mike G. Let's go!
War Eagle, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest and greatest War Room. Guys, it's 6 days. It's 6 days. T-minus 6 days to spring practice, to some type of football, relevant football news.
Oh, man, I can't
We
wait.
are here, guys. We are here. And as y'all are joining in, y'all know what to do.
Yeah.
Just get the necessary stuff out of the way. Shout out. We got a new...
Put some hand sanitizer on and come into place, you know what I'm saying? But oh yeah, my bad. We got a new
shout
new
out
folk.
to the
my man Keontae is out there. I see you, my boy.
Oh, man.
So, y'all know what to do, man. Listen, smash the like
they
button.
loving the new intro. They like
Hey,
the new
listen. So, shameless self promotion.
I'm just being all rude. I'm over talking Caesar, man. My bad. But go ahead, Mike.
I'm not here. Go ahead.
Shameless self promotion. To the extent burner account, we appreciate you guys. Dr.
always.
Doom, we appreciate you. Yes, listen. I do all the editing on the show and creative work. Ike is on the graphics, and that is actually B Will's voice, announcer voice.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of internal production skill, and to the extent that you guys actually donate to our channel, you allow us to be able to continue doing such things. So I'm just going to take this time real quick. We appreciate the super chats, but you can go hit that GoFundMe. Hit the about section on our channel page, and you can donate there. We see more of the GoFundMe money than we do the super chats. YouTube takes 45%, so I don't think they need the help. They're not financially hurting. So
they definitely helping us. So YouTube, we appreciate you very much. Those of you who are on Facebook, we appreciate y'all too.
Exactly.
But, Facebook ain't breaking us off no coins yet. Facebook, Mark, if you're listening out there through your algorithms, toss us a couple of dollars.
Do the necessary. Mark.
To the extent that you guys continue with your generosity, which we definitely appreciate, we take those dollars and we put that back into the product that you get every week. So I'm glad you guys enjoy that intro. Your generosity allows that to be able to happen.
Yes, sir.
Indeed.
As you were saying, my man, Caesar, go ahead.
Guys, listen. If you're coming in, announce yourself, please. Smash that like button. Give us a War Eagle if you're Auburn family. If not, and you're just passing through, drop your location, your city. Let us know where you're watching this from. Shout out to Aaron.
Yes,
sir. See what Hearts is going to bring
you,
to the Plains. So are we, brother. So are we. But yeah, man. I guess we should just get into the show, shall we? I guess we got some news that's kind of unrelated to Auburn football. That I guess can be relevant to, it's not really related, but
Not really.
It could be in a roundabout way. You know what I'm saying? If we was
could.
running the speed sweep, it might. Never mind. It's too soon. Too soon to make that joke. Too soon.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. We'll see. Listen. There is a Hush Blackwell report that was recently put out there in the world about some mishandled issues at LSU that also implicated former coach Les Miles. And as we all know, him and the university agreed to part ways, followed today by the athletic director being let go. So as you know, guys, there was in this report there was a lot of sexual misconduct complaints being filed and mishandled, and definitely has put LSU under a microscope. I'm not sure what's gonna come of it, but just want initial thoughts from you guys. What are y'all thinking about this situation at LSU?
Yeah, this is why running a clean program matters and doing things the right way matters. What did Harsin say in his video? We're going to do things the right way. So
he could just mean he's going to cheat better than other people. But.
Maybe, right. But this,
what do you mean the right way? Right.
This is not about cheating. This is about integrity.
No, 100%. This is way
character.
Different than the Tennessee situation, right? To me, this is Penn State, right? This is a whole different ball game that we're in.
This is
Baylor. This is Baylor.
Like Baylor.
Baylor. This is football became way more important than life. Right. And they forgot that they didn't keep things in perspective. And Darius Geis was at the center of a lot of this stuff. And to the extent that it is related to Auburn is depending on what the NCAA decides here in terms of retroactively punishing LSU for those things that happened, this could devastate their program for the next 5 to 6 years.
I want to shout
We've
out
seen
to
this.
You're right. Watching from Alaska. I think this is a first there. Shout out.
No. She's with us. She's with us.
Yeah, but I say she's been in here from Alaska before. Yeah, unless there's more than one Alaska person that's been watching. We've definitely had Alaska, Hawaii.
I just want to shout out anybody watching from Alaska.
Right,
sure.
For sure.
I'm gonna start. Maybe I'm gonna put like a little thing back here on my wall that's like a map, and every time we get a new state, I'm gonna put a pin on it. See if we can touch all 50 states with Auburn.
That'll be dope
before the end of this thing.
Listen, nobody cursed. My mom's in here tonight, so you're in here.
Wait, hold on.
The only person you gotta worry about cussing. Nobody else cusses on the show but you. What you talking about?
That's a lie.
All the time.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
That's a lie?
Who else cusses on the show?
I'm going to replay the tape.
On the show.
Play the tape.
Yeah. We'll replay the tape.
Well, we all we have our
Mother Giddens almost said a prayer on the show, so I'm your favorite right now.
Yes, you're definitely a favorite. So again, coming full circle on this LSU thing and how I think it's going to be related to Auburn is that again with the sanctions that may be coming to them, it's going to change the recruiting landscape in the SEC West significantly. Right now, they've been recruiting top 8 to 5 classes for the last 7 to 8 years. So though a lot of those recruits go back into the pool, and if Harsin can pull out a 9-win season this season, or even a 10-win season this season, he starts to take priority in a lot of these recruits' mind that would normally go. They're going to start looking for someplace else to go. So it does matter to us that they got, and I don't want to underscore again the seriousness of the. I don't want to undervalue the seriousness of the allegations here.
Right.
There were people alleging sexual misconduct against players. Darius Geis was at the center of a lot of this, and this is a problem with major college athletics. Right, football can never be more important than people's lives, and the short story is that it got reported over and over and over again, and it was either mishandled or just flat out dismissed,
ignored.
And that's the stuff that cannot happen at Auburn. So to the extent that I don't know to what extent Orgeron, it doesn't look like he's super implicated in a lot of this. It sounds like it happened around him. But when the NCAA comes through and hits you with lack of institutional control, essentially what they're saying is, regardless of what you knew, you are still responsible.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they hammered Penn State.
Right.
But you know what? I don't care what you did or didn't know. Little kids' safety was at risk, and so we're going to decimate your program until you understand that you can't let this go on under your roof. You need to have better checks and balances, and that's what this lesson. Let this be a lesson to everybody. I hope Orgeron is doing it the right way now, and I hope Harsin is seeing this, and not that he wouldn't be taking it this sort of thing seriously, but I just hope it's a healthy reminder to everybody that football can never become so important that you're willing to just completely sacrifice your belief system and your morals. Just can't. So that's how I think it's related
and
to
that's,
Auburn.
and what's crazy is we have a pretty low standard for what is moral in the football world, but this is just like, I think everyone agrees this is out of bounds, right? Like there's nobody who's just like, oh, that's just college sports, right? Like that's just no, like we can't be a part of this as a culture, and we just kind of have to, I don't want to get onto some like overall cultural morality stuff, but we have to be better than that, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just, I think there are certain places where we know as a whole it's unacceptable, and that's a line too far.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Yeah. And again, it's go ahead, B.
Well, I was gonna say what's probably is disappointing, but it's also really sad because I know that this isn't isolated. I know that LSU is not the only place this is happening.
Right.
Sure. I know that program.
I mean, again, we just saw it at Baylor, right?
Right. We just saw it at Baylor. And really what happens is it gets so out of control in those places that it's above the coach lets it run rampant, because let's be clear here. The coach is getting information about what's happening to his players. If a player gets arrested at 12 o'clock at night at a house party, that coach is getting a phone call.
Right.
He knows everybody on the team who gets in trouble, from the players up to the assistant coaches. So if nothing is done, it is a conscious decision by the coach to say, we got to bury this and keep this guy on the field. And if it comes to light in this manner, it means that it was given a pass over and over and over and over again. And it's so out of control. Me always being a little cynical about what happens behind closed doors in college football, I know it happens more places than LSU. They decided to let it run out of control.
Right.
To Gus's credit, he said the minute anything like that happens, no, you are out of here. Like that's it. No, go.
Yeah.
And
that's the one thing. I think somebody said it in the comments, for all of the misgivings we might have about Gus Malzahn and the way he managed the program from an on the field perspective, off the field, he held the kids to the standard where it's like, listen, I'm not going to ruin your name out here in these streets, but you can't play here anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Like you cannot be a member of this team and this be the behavior. Now he got false information on some kids and pulled the trigger a little bit too quickly in some instances.
Yeah.
But he was like, if there is any hint of this going on, you're out of here. Like, I just go to class, come to practice, go home.
Right.
All the rest of this stuff, if you put yourself in the position where it might look like you did something wrong, my hands are tied. I can't do anything because I'm not letting that blow back on me. You got to go. Or I'm going to sit you down for a little while. And if it happens again, you got to go. Right. Yeah. So it is what it is.
I'll tell you what, my mom is watching. So I'll tell you a little something she told me. She said, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Right.
She also said there are no good things happening out in these streets after 11 o'clock. So my
dad had the adage of nothing's open after dark except legs and bars and legs.
Bars and legs, right?
Yeah.
So to that extent, these coaches, Gus sent a message that you were responsible, right? You are responsible for the situations that you find yourself in, and as an athlete, as a high-profile D1 college athlete, you are more susceptible to these sorts of things if you do not choose your company wisely,
right,
and keep yourself out of situations where people can falsely accuse you of things, or or you get wrapped up, or you're guilty by association, right. My dad's a retired police officer, and sometimes he would just be like, "Listen, son, if somebody gets in your car, you need to know what they have on them, because when you get pulled over, you all have it. You all have it in the eyes of the law, right?
Everybody's guilty at that point,
right? So these college players, we find these sorts of situations happen over and over again, where they've associated themselves with shady characters. They don't realize that they are now, they have a high profile status, right? Shout out to Takoria Wright.
Yeah, that's our Alaskan right there, going ahead and joining all the way from Alaska.
Appreciate it.
She did say earlier in the comments that she was going to join tonight. So she's true to her word. We appreciate you doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I'm waiting for our South Korea watcher to join up. That's the one that we're going to throw a party for. So we got somebody who watches this in South Korea live every show.
No.
Anyway, so again, I just think that these are the life lessons that I hope that Harsin is teaching our players, right? And I know this strikes a different tone.
Wright is a male, by the way, so let's get that correct.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
That's our bad.
Decoria, get it straight.
Yeah, we don't have pictures there.
Proper pronunciation, because we probably messing up your name.
We just gonna call her Tack, but we're gonna call him Tack. Excuse me, because I saw somebody else in the comments call him Tack.
T-Dub. Yeah. So
Jeremy thought that was funny because Jeremy knows that it's a guy and we just butchering it all over the live stream. All right, cool.
All right, enough
of our embarrassment.
These are the things that I hope that Harsin is teaching our players, though, right? I think this is when people say winning isn't everything, this is what they're talking about. Yeah. Integrity, doing things the right way, not just on the field, but the lessons that he's going to teach these young men, because they're more than just coaches. They are leaders of men, and the lessons that they teach off the field are just as important as anything that they will teach in a meeting room, right? Or coach these guys to do on Saturdays. Because you know what? It doesn't matter how much success you have on the field. If you go out here and you ruin your life, right? Or you get mixed up with the wrong characters, or you're not teaching these players, I don't want to get too preachy about consent.
Yeah.
And that, they've been told yes their whole lives.
Right.
And then they get put in a situation where they're being told no, and they don't know how to handle no.
Yeah.
Right. Because everybody just tells them yes all the time. You're the greatest. You're this, you're that.
And by this point, their ego is incredibly inflated.
Yeah. Listen.
And they don't even know how to handle it.
That's how most of those guys get in trouble in college, is that they have been the center of attention their entire life. They're not used to having to be accountable for actions because they were the star athlete at their high school and people just kept letting them get away with stuff. When they initially got to college, people were letting them get away. And so let me be clear about something too, while we're going down this whole rant about LSU. I am not trying to claim some moral high ground in regards to what Auburn football or Auburn athletics is.
No.
I don't know what the underbelly of Auburn athletics exists and could be. But I will say this. If we heard about something like this happening at Auburn, I would be just as thrown off by it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not look at LSU, they're so terrible and they're over there doing this and this and that. It is what it is. Listen, there's a line too far where some stuff you can say like, okay, we know a lot of major programs have a ton of kids getting played under the table. Right. I don't get shocked when I hear about that. We made fun of Tennessee just because of the stupid way in which they were doing it, but it's not shocking news to hear kids are getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It is that's just that one bridge too far where it's like, okay, listen, look, all right, paying a kid to play football, okay, I get that. We can't be doing this, guys. Come on. Like, let's have some integrity. Like Mike said, just the integrity.
If your coach is doing a good job, if our coach is doing a good job, we're never coming here on a Wednesday night to talk about things not related to football.
Right. Even in the off season.
Yeah. Right. I just want to come here and talk about Bo, man. I don't want to talk about all this kind of stuff, right?
Well, you admit you like talking about Bo.
So I mean,
trash Bo.
But to Ike's point, yeah, and that's good you mentioned that, because it's not about being on a high horse. It's just a teachable moment if you choose to learn it, right? And you can learn from other people's mistakes, or you can learn from your own. And it's always good to learn from other people's mistakes. And, to the point we're making, what are other schools around the SEC? What are they learning from this situation? Right? How are they going to handle?
What? The unfortunate reality, B. Will said that it tongue in cheek, but that's usually what happens. Yeah. Is that when you hear and see other schools get hit with sanctions, you don't learn the lesson, we shouldn't do this. You learn, let's clean it up so people don't see our mistakes. Hide it better. Right.
So is that the new way of doing things the right way?
So that's what I'm saying. When you hear a coach say we're going to do things the right way, you wonder if that means we're learning how to hide our imperfections better, or if it actually means we're going to play by the rules when everyone around you who's succeeding isn't playing by the rules. And you're just like, why? Right. Why do I have to continue to be the bottom of the barrel and play by the rules and get bit by that when they're getting away with it? Why shouldn't I do it too? Right? Everybody's cutting corners. Why shouldn't I? That's life in general, though.
For what it's worth, I think that's why Gus got 8 years in spite of his non-accomplishments on the football field, right? Is because there was nothing else to point to. right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
He couldn't have that record and have issues off the field with players consistently. I think he knew that. And so he had a very short leash for players who potentially brought that sort of negative attention to the program. And to your point, Ike, he jumped the gun a couple times on some guys who, turns out they were innocent.
Right.
But
that's part of the problem too. And this is a thing where I don't know if it was the guys. And I don't want to throw nobody under the bus. Never mind. There are definitely situations that exist out there that have happened, and people have been repeat offenders because we've seen and heard all of this stuff, and it was just kind of swept under the rug for a while. And the question in my mind goes to: is that people hiding that from Gus, or is he kind of part of the problem too? Like because I know someone if I know about it, somebody on the staff knew. Right. And so you have to wonder how long before someone on the staff comes over and says to Gus, "Hey, listen, this is becoming a real problem. We're going to have to do something about this."
Love the Cats. Put your phone down.
We appreciate it.
Super chatting and driving. That's some good multitasking right there.
Yeah, man.
But,
Get where you're going and hit that go.
Listen, we need to give our quick liability statement. We cannot be held liable for any accidents that happen while viewing the War Rapport. If you get excited about something that we say and you accidentally wreck your car because you're listening while driving, that is not our responsibility. If we say something you don't like and you end up throwing something and breaking a TV, for instance, that's not our fault. I was just giving that as an example. Nobody would ever break a TV, Mike. But you know, if
people don't know about what I do in my private time.
Yeah, but nah. Anyway, just kidding. Moving on. But yes, be safe out there. Love the Cats. Appreciate you.
Yes, he's here with us every week. I like chopping up with him over on the drain every once in a while with JG. So
shout out to our guy JG. He's gonna be over
JG
here next
Tate.
week.
Next
Wednesday. Next Wednesday. I'm a little early. We ain't really teasing new stuff or coming up stuff right now, but it don't matter. We was we was around the corner from it. I figured I stopped there.
Listen,
in the spirit.
Spring practices start next Monday.
Yep.
Right, and then they practice Wednesday, and then Wednesday night JG will be live with us to talk about what's going on down there on the practice fields. So I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, man. So that's on the horizon. Do we want to talk about is this gonna ever get old? We're gonna hear that a lot next week.
I was say next week we're gonna have a guy who could actually do that, and it sounds a little bit like the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Lawrence Robinson,
yes.
we appreciate that very much. If you guys have not seen already, we do a series called Building Rapport. You should go back and watch all. If this is like one of your first times coming and checking out the War Rapport, first and foremost, you just need to go run down the playlist so you can see all of the previous episodes. Specifically, you want to go check out previous Facts or Not episodes. There's a whole playlist of those. And you want to go check out all of the interviews we've been doing with Building Rapport. That is us interviewing about former players from Auburn, just their experiences since then, their perspective on the current program. You want to go check those interviews out. This one, the Carl Stewart, has been one of the best ones that we've had. I think it's between that. Just for argument's sake, what's y'all's favorite Building Rapport? And you can tell us in the comments as well. But what's the favorite one that you guys feel like we've done so far with Building Rapport?
Yeah. Listen, I really enjoyed Devin Aroma Shadoo's.
Devin was a good one. Devin is in my top 3.
I like Ben Grubbs.
I think Ben Grubbs, Devin, and this Carl Stewart one are my top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are. I could agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though again, I don't think any of them were bad. I just think
they're all good.
It was. I think Ben just gave us a little something different in his that was a little more heartfelt and emotional, and just the knowledge. And I think I liked Devin so much. Number one, because I was actually able to be there on it. But then the second, Chris Todd
Martin, like Chris Todd.
Yeah, we had to break that up into 2 interviews.
That was the most educational one, Chris Todd.
Yeah,
like
Chris
I
Todd
learned about what a quarterback works on.
I was listening to Michael. I was like, "She go nuts for strength and conditioning." Which one was that?
I was about to say. So you like them. So you like every episode,
every single one of them. Yeah, I will never do an interview where I don't bring that up. John Rogers is one of our Facebook converts. He watches us over on Facebook and finally came over to the YouTube.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. So we've got our Chop It Up with the Pro. I'm gonna take this time because we're at the 25-minute mark. We got our Chop It Up with the Pro with Devin Aromashadu coming up tomorrow. So that's gonna be strictly a fan Q&A. Myself, Ike Jones, Devin are gonna hop on the live stream. If you are an insider, you will be able to ask Devin questions. March is the last month where you'll actually be able to see it and not be an insider. So right now, a number of you guys have signed up for the Chop It Up with a Pro. If you are not an insider, you can become one. Lee 3, one of our faithful members, figure out how to sign up from an iPhone. You can view the YouTube website in desktop mode. And then you'll see the join button. Otherwise, you're going to have to join up from a computer. Android users, you guys are good to go. So $5.99, you can become an insider. Again, this is the last month that you will be able to see Chop It Up. We do not post them after the fact. So you got to catch that live for now. And then we may eventually repost those, but it's gonna be limited to insiders. Hey, Lawrence,
appreciate that.
I was just wondering, bro, like when you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so we're looking forward to this Q&A. And then we have one 2 weeks from tomorrow with Devin again, where him and Ike will actually be breaking down film.
Yes, sir.
So if you had not seen our film review with King Dunlap, we had a lot of fun with that. They focused on offensive line play.
Amazing.
And we pulled some plays from the Georgia game. Again, we don't post those after because of YouTube's copyright. They are copyright police, right?
Yeah,
so we don't post them after. You got to catch those live. But after Devin's Q&A film review, 2 weeks from tomorrow, you will no longer be able to watch those Chop It Ups unless you are an insider. So stressing that right now, I had a few people DM me and say, hey, I couldn't see the Chop It Up. I said, you got to be an insider. So.
And somebody asked, how do you view the previous building rapport? They are still on our channel. We've got them broken down into playlists. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you click on the playlist, you can see the building rapport playlist, and you can view all of our previous interviews that we have.
Yeah.
TJ Kidd says, can we interview Cam next? If you got an inside track on getting Cam to hit us up, then by all means, I'm not turning that interview down.
Yeah, listen, we are
Junior Rose Green. Somebody said interview him. Listen, we can try to pull that off. I think we got some feelers out to Junior Rose Green already, so we're looking to try to make that happen.
We're trying to get some more guys on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
we talked to a lot of guys on offense, but we're trying to balance it out with a few linebackers, defensive backs. So we're putting some fillers out there. So stay tuned, guys.
Here's the story of the War Report. Right, as we grow, with you guys' support, as our community grows, they can no longer ignore our presence in the space.
Right.
So, to the extent that you guys help us grow, your voice, in conjunction with our voices, are being heard, and now people want to come to the War Report to tell their story so that we can ask the real questions and not these fluffy Auburn-friendly media questions, right? We are not media, so we will get to the point in these interviews, and we're looking forward to that. So some of these guys are starting to reach out to us and say, hey, I saw Devin's interview. Can I do an interview with you guys? There's no incentive other than they just want to tell their story, and we want to hear it.
Yeah, so if you guys know anybody personally, listen, send them a message and say, hey, go send them a previous building rapport episode and say, you should check these out.
Yeah.
These guys would be really good. Have them get in touch with us, and then, hey, put a bug in our ear. Say, hey, I've got an inside track with such and such, and we'll see if we can make it happen, man. We want to do some compelling interviews with former Auburn players.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if is Devin. Oh, go ahead, Caesar.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm not sure if Devin Dawson is on. He asked about this, a couple of weeks ago, and I promised him I was going to do it, but I forgot because we had some other topics that we wanted to go over. We have a little time before we get over into Pro Day. He asked specifically, how did we come up with the name The War Report? And he said he'd never heard that story. So this isn't the whole story of how the channel came to be. Mike tells that story probably better than I can. But as far as the name is concerned, it really was just kind of a matter of a conversation between me and Mike. Literally, so let me just say this first and foremost. Almost everything you see is some random conversation between me and Mike. Like, we're just on the phone talking about something, and then and we'll be like, what do you think about doing this? Facts or Not is an example of that. He randomly said that at some point in time, and we should do something like this and this and that. And then I sat and I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, we could do that. And we just came up with the format for how we were going to do it, and we tried it out one time, and it worked, and we kept doing it, right? But the War Report, literally, we were trying to come up with a name for what we wanted to call it, because we didn't want to use our names, and I just was like, I don't really know. And I think Mike said something about, wanting to do it called the War Report. And I thought about that for a minute, and I was like, that feels too generic. It feels like something people can knock off. It feels like something that's happened before. And I was like, well, it's a show about guys who are friends already, and we've already got this rapport with one another. Let's just kind of put a little paprika on it, and instead of saying report, we do rapport.
Porcely. Porcely.
It's like Stephen Colbert. His name's Colbert, but Colbert, you just put a little paprika on that thing.
His name is definitely Colbert.
Yeah, his name is Colbert, but he pronounced it Colbert. So it was like just coming up with a way to be a close to something that you're used to, but put a little twist on it. And then it just fit in nicely with War Eagle being the battle cry, and then the idea of we were trying to build this community that was about, because listen, as you guys can see, we remember a lot of you guys' names here in the comments, just because we've come to know you all, if nothing else but from the chat. And so we like the fact that we're building this community of Auburn supporters together, even non-Auburn supporters. There's a ton of people who are fans of other teams that come in and fellowship with us on a regular basis. So we enjoy that. So it's about building that rapport with one another, and maybe we'll have some kind of blowout tailgate one day, and we'll get to see each other face to face. You never know. You never know. Y'all keep supporting like y'all supporting, and we can make that happen a little faster. That's not me passing the collection plate. I do feel like I'm taking up a second offering right now. I'm not preaching, but I'm just telling you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I do that.
3-hour church service.
Anyway, enough of that. That's how we came up with it. I don't know if Devin Dawson is even here, so I answered the question the one time. He ain't even watching. So
he's usually good about popping in and hollering at us if he's here. And I'm loving some of these names that y'all are mentioning too, man.
Yeah,
I would love to interview Takeo Spikes.
Takeo Spikes is one that's on the list.
I would be scared to do that interview.
I saw somebody mention Carlos Dansby. That's somebody who has been on our list of people who we want to get in there with. Like
people mentioned Brad Lester.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we got a lot of people who we definitely would like to. But it's just
Rudy.
about trying to get in touch with them. Number one, and number two, not to shade any players, but it's got to be a good interview too. Like, we want some people who are compelling enough to be able to carry on that good conversation. Hold on, next Monday, who do we have coming up Monday?
Antarius Williams.
Oh, AT, that's right. We just did our interview with AT, so y'all are gonna get an opportunity to hear him talk. Very knowledgeable player, man. That was a good interview. I think that might sneak up into some of y'all top 3 after you get an opportunity to hear him talk, because we had Mike and I had a good time talking to him the other night. So looking forward to that.
Somebody was bound to mention Bo Jackson. And I'm with it.
Never that easy. It's never that easy.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can throw whatever name you want to out there, but unless you got you got an inside track on that thing, we don't have all the access. Not yet. We working on it though.
It's on the way.
We working on it.
Lawrence is in Newport News here, Virginia, with me. So listen, let's go head on up to DC, man. Let's get some bourbon, talk football.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
if any of y'all are bourbon drinkers, by the way, I'll let you boy. We can get it in. One home game. We just
men drink.
Bourbon. Yeah, you can talk. No, come on. All right. Anyway, enough of that nonsense.
You can bring it next week, because I'm pretty sure JG gonna have.
JG will definitely have bourbon on deck for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Emory Blake would be a good one. He's one of my favorite receivers from that era, man. I loved Emory Blake out there on the field.
Darvin Adams. I would actually want to interview Darvin Adams.
Yeah, Darvin Adams would be a good one.
That would be a good one.
It's a lot of really good names. I saw somebody mention Will Hastings. I think that would be an Trey Smith would be an interesting.
I think Josh Bynes will be a good
Bynes
interview.
would be a good one.
Yeah. So somebody said Ronald McDonald.
TJ.
Love you guys, man. Y'all are awesome. All right. So we have Auburn's Pro Day. It's coming up pretty soon, right, guys?
Yeah.
And this is going to be interesting because of COVID, they're doing something a little different, right?
Yeah.
So it would be the combine, right? So we have 4 guys from Auburn who are invited to technically what's the combine, but because they're not going to meet, I believe it's in Indianapolis. Where's the combine?
Indianapolis usually.
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Because of that, they're actually having it at the school's pro day. And so because these were the 4 who would have been invited, KJ Britt, Seth Williams, Anthony Schwartz, and Jamian Sherwood, those are the 4 who are actually going to be working out for pro day. And if you guys recall, usually pro day is a day where you see a lot of people come out and work out. Like I've seen in past years, guys who've left the team a year prior try to come out and work out. So because of this year being different, you're only seeing 4 guys. So what are our thoughts about these 4? And who are some notable names that you were kind of surprised were not on this list?
I don't know that there's anybody who I was surprised that wasn't on the list. What I will say is I still have no idea what is going on with Christian Tutt.
Right.
And the fact that he's not on that list puts that even more in the air of like, so is he trying to go pro right now? Like what is Christian Tutt doing right now with himself, right? Like, but outside of that, the only other senior that I think had pro aspirations would have been Eli Stove, right?
Right.
So, he's clearly trying to go to, and somebody asked the question, is Flash going to run sub 4.3? Facts or not? It's coming up Friday. We will be talking about that very topic. You are in the zone right there, TJ. But yeah, I think Steve Stove is probably the only other person that I think that is interesting that's not on that list that I can think about. But yeah, Christian Tutt's the only other one, again, that it's clear he's not coming back to Auburn. But what is he doing, right? I have no idea. He's not in the transfer portal. He's not going to get a chance to do this, or he didn't get invited to a combine pro day type thing. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't to be seen what happens with him. I know he did enter the portal, but then withdrew from the portal. So he just faded into
he got a freaking agent, and that was like debunked, and they said no, he doesn't have one. I don't know what's going on with him.
He's in oblivion right now.
I'm wondering how this new format is going to affect a lot of players who normally wouldn't get invited to the combine, and pro day was their time to shine. But now you have all these combine guys who are going to be come in and taking the attention of the scouts. So the draft will be interesting this year, right? And I suspect that it's going to be a free agency steal for a lot of NFL teams this year for guys who will be overlooked at these pro days because they're focusing on combine. They still invited people as if they were having a combine. Right. Is my understanding. But they will be performing at their pro days. So, how the scouts handle that, listen, the NFL is $1 billion business, multi-billion-dollar business. So I know that they will find a way to evaluate players. But I think that it's going to be a way for them to get some deals on some of these guys who will be overlooked. It may have gone in the latter parts of the draft, but they'll may go undrafted and sign as free agents if you are not an obvious talent, right? So I filmed Jay Ratliff's pro day, and I'll never forget this. Being able to film a pro day was remarkable to listen to the scouts talk about the things that they look for, right? So I'm kind of hovering around with my camera, and they wanted to see some things that are important for NFL linemen, and one of those things is hand placement, hand strength, and what you do with your hands. And the scouts kept remarking on how quick Jay's hands were, right? How quickly he could get his hands on your pads where they had to be and turn the guy, right? Rip, and then, and get through him. And he went, it worked out for him, right?
Oh, for sure.
That pro day was his way to get on to NFL teams' radar, and then he made a Pro Bowl. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for a pro day. Usually flies under the radar for a lot of these guys. I mean, there's not a lot of fanfare around pro day, but it is your chance that if maybe you were overlooked on your team, even where you didn't get a ton of playing time, but you had all the measurables and you've got athletic ability. Your coaches just overlooked you. You can go to a pro day and blow scouts away with your athleticism.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and get on somebody's radar.
I think that was the saving grace for a lot of guys over the last couple of years, or I mean, really in the history of Auburn, who specifically on the offensive side, if they weren't a running back or an offensive lineman, they almost had no shot, right? Because they weren't going to get a ton of opportunities at a wide receiver, at a tight end, even at quarterback to show what they could do to a pro from the tape. They were just going to have to give you those measurables and be like, man, why wasn't this like Darius Slayton is someone who comes to mind, right? Yeah. Like he was able to impress with his skills, but the tape doesn't tell you that. You can't go back and get Auburn footage to say Darius Slayton looks like a pro caliber. Like you just don't know that from watching his Auburn tape. Like, and if somebody's telling you they saw that based upon the little 20 catches he had, then they are one of the better scouts that existed, right? You're going probably back to high school tape and just looking at something like that. So pro day was your opportunity, because if you didn't get to the combine, you could still show off your skills in front of a limited set of people, but you could give them something to be able to say, okay, that's a little eye popping, right? Like maybe, and then there were those guys who did get invited to the combine, but they neglected to go and only had a pro day, right? And so now you're limiting that field even more, and you're having less opportunities for guys to be able to show what they couldn't put on film because they didn't have enough snaps to do so.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting for sure, seeing kind of how this plays out for some of those guys who had pro aspirations, and now they are not going to get that opportunity to have a controlled environment to do pro day. Like they're going to have to figure out something different to get a scout's attention. So hopefully these guys have some good marketing teams behind them for their social media or something that are going to be able to. I don't know how the NFL is going to facilitate allowing some of these other people to get their the ire of some of these scouts up. So
So who are we liking, man? Who has the opportunity to impress, given their measurables, their ability? Who are we liking?
Schwartz, 100%. I got to see Schwartz.
Okay. Yeah, Anthony Schwartz for sure. I think all of them have the opportunity. No diss to my guy Jamie and Sherwood. If I were to put them in a ranking order of who I think is going to be the most eye popping at pro day, he's going to come in last. I'd probably rank it Schwartz, Britt, Williams, Sherwood if I were to put them in order of like most. Oh my goodness, why is this guy not on my team right now? To okay, maybe he can come in and earn a spot, right? Because I think Jamie Sherwood is a pro caliber player. He's probably going to have to earn his spot in special teams initially, right? To be able to make a roster though. But he definitely has the energy. I say this all the time. I love Jamie Sherwood's energy. I love the way he competes. He is a sound tackler when he gets you out there in the open field. And he's a good communicator out there. You know, he's not like the best cover guy, but that's why he played safety, right? Like he's not supposed to be, a man press corner or anything like that. Right. So that's what I would put it in.
Marion Thomas says here, if you're good enough, you will find a way. Right. And that's what the combine means to a lot of these guys. And some of them don't even get that chance. One of my favorite stories about a guy making the team, because, the NFL is filled with talent that weren't stars in college.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
They're filled with talent. I remember reading ping me in the comments if you remember hearing this story about Browns receiver Damon Sheehy. Right. He spent his last $200 on training. And he lied his way into a Browns tryout. Said he knew the GM. Somebody bought it, and he went in there and ran like a 4.2 something, and just blew them away with his speed. And in the preseason, he caught a punt, and everybody knew his story at this point, that this guy lied his way into a tryout, but he was homeless. He was sleeping in his car, and he returned a punt for a touchdown, and I don't often cry about football, but man, I almost shed a tear. The whole team just jumped on this guy, right? And they were so happy for him that he was able to essentially go from being homeless to making an NFL roster. And so this is an opportunity for a lot of these guys to do something that a small percentage of athletes ever get the chance to do.
Right.
Regardless of whether you have the talent, some people just never get the chance to show their talent off to the right person. And then beauty is in the eye of the beholder when it comes to scouts. Because I
haven't seen this projection that some people think that he could be a first round talent. This is a pretty quarterbacks and defensive backs are pretty heavy in this draft.
Right.
So if Jamie Sherwood's being projected that high, I haven't seen that projection. So I would welcome the link to that wherever you saw
Please.
that.
I would love. I would read it. I'll read it
Yeah,
for sure. I'm here for it.
That kind of guy was Slayton. Like I saw somebody talked about Slayton showing out against Purdue, right, and then getting noticed. And he was such an underrated, underutilized receiver when he was at Auburn.
For sure.
Great.
But good enough to kill it as a rookie with the Giants. And he is more than a serviceable pro. So how can we have all these guys? Talent evaluation is about to change greatly at Auburn, right?
I don't agree with this, JC. War Eagle says I think Williams gets a higher draft. Gus didn't get him open enough. Flash only has speed, can't take much abuse. I don't know what I agree with that too much, JC.
Yeah.
I watch a ton of film, and I think that Schwartz as a wide receiver is highly underrated, and speed is something, you can't coach speed. Like, you can't make Seth Williams faster, just like you can't make Anthony Schwartz taller.
Right.
But Schwartz has a knack for getting open and getting past guys.
Right.
And he does everything right from his release off of the line to the end of the route. He does everything right.
Yeah.
Like, there are just very few flaws in his ability to get open, and he has world-class speed. I don't know. Seth Williams is probably the better pro look, and to your point, you feel like he's a little more fragile than a Seth Williams is. But I think people just think that Anthony Schwartz is a track guy who plays football.
Seth Williams got banged up quite a bit himself.
Yeah, Seth Williams' shoulder looked like it was going to pop out of socket every 3 plays. But I just think people think that Schwartz is a track guy who plays football, when in actuality, he's a football guy with track speed, right? And there's definitely a difference. To me, as hard as he runs, Shivers is more of a track guy who plays football, just because he doesn't have the wiggle and the shiftiness. He's a straight line runner. Anthony Schwartz he's a little more shifty than you think he is.
Right.
Again, I've watched his releases off the line. If you watch Chop It Up of the Pro, we talked about it a little bit, about how quickly he crosses a guy's face at the line. I didn't see that quote. I'm sorry. Something about Ricardo Lewis.
Yeah, it was. We talked about this during the Jarris McIntyre interview.
Oh, frustration with wide receivers.
Essentially, he said that they never taught us how to run routes. Yeah. I'm paraphrasing, but the system
didn't have to.
teach us it. Yeah.
There was literally no reason to learn how to run routes in the system, because the system was predicated on the defensive back already being out of position, and you were just going to be open, right? It wasn't really about getting open, having any sort of release techniques, how you're going to be, stemming your route at the top. Like, there's just none of that mattered in a Gus Malzahn system, because it was all predicated on misdirection and what they call eye candy. Right?
Trust
so
me,
you
they're
have
gonna
enough
fall
eye
for
candy,
it.
the guy's
You'll be
going to be
good.
open. Yeah.
Hey, they didn't fall for it. What we gonna do?
Yeah, like, let me tell you, I think that Schwartz was underutilized. I think you could say that they didn't get Schwartz the ball enough.
I disagree. I disagree that he's not he is a natural catcher of the ball. He catches the ball with his hands. He rarely body catches.
Yeah.
And go watch him run routes. Again, forget what you know about his speed. Go watch the kid run a route. Watch how he does his releases off the line, and watch how he stacks receivers at the top of the route. He knows how to utilize that track speed. I get it that he's a track guy. I am not debating that. I'm saying that he's not one of those guys who all he is speed. I think that's a misnomer. I think people have not watched him play football.
Yeah, I think people get that impression based on how he was used in this.
Right. That's my point. Yeah, I think that our system makes you believe that he's just a track guy because we didn't use him for much else.
Right.
And then when he did beat everybody down the field, he just got overthrown or underthrown. Right.
Like I said, if you don't have to believe me, go watch the film. Don't forget everything I just said and go watch the film, and then you come back to me and you tell me what you see when you watch him release off of the line and you watch him stack receivers once he gets past them. Because there's a lot of guys who are fast enough to get past the receiver but don't know how to stack them properly. There's a lot of guys who are able to get open but aren't natural catchers of the football with their hands to be able to just pluck it out of the air, turn and do something. I've watched Anthony Schwartz catch passes that were outside of his frame, turn in one motion, get upfield and make plays with that pass. That's not something that guys that are just track guys do normally. If you don't throw it to them perfectly, they can't make the move. They don't know how to release. They don't know how to stack. That's a football play. That's just not, I'm fast, so I'm going to run past you. We're gonna have to disagree about that, because he actually, again, I'm not saying he's a top receiver in the league. I'm not even trying to compare him to somebody like Tyreek Hill. I'm saying that as a wide receiver, Anthony Schwartz has wide receiver skills. He just happens to be really fast. All right. So anyway, we can disagree about that. Watch the film, and then once we do that, we can have that conversation again.
Aaron is saying Seth Williams is going to be an incredible pro, bullies highly recruited DBs, and will be able to battle in the NFL immediately.
Ability was never his issue, though. That's not the thing.
So here's the thing: Seth Williams
Define
is definitely
bully.
He's definitely a physical receiver. What I want to see out of Seth Williams,
he's great for the jump ball.
He doesn't get the reason why you see him making this is something that when you listen to scouts talk about receivers, is that if your best quality is your ability to make contested catches, that means you're always covered. So is the issue that you are really that good at making contested catches, or you're never getting separation, right? If it's always got to be a contested catch, that means you're not separating from anybody. And as you get into better competition in the NFL, your ability to separate consistently is what's going to give that quarterback more confidence in your ability to be open at the time that you're supposed to be. Right now, honestly, Seth Williams is not a great route runner. He's not. If you go watch him run routes, he does not run routes well. He has literally 2 moves off the line. That's it. And most of it is just kind of a stutter step to one direction and then get upfield. He doesn't do a great job of hand fighting off the line. His releases are kind of lazy. He doesn't stem his routes at the top or stack his the DBs at the top of his routes usually. And he doesn't do a great job of stemming the route when he has to come back for the ball or something like that. Again, I'm not saying he can't do that. The film doesn't tell me that he can, though. It doesn't. I've watched him on film, and it doesn't tell me his release is good. It doesn't tell me he's able to stack the receiver, the DB at the top. It doesn't even tell me that he's consistently going to be able to be a natural catcher of the ball when he's wide open. He can make great contested catches. He's got the ability to fight off DBs while making a catch. I'm not saying he's not a physical receiver. I'm not even saying he doesn't have good speed. I'm telling you, when I watch the film, and I'm going to again, this ain't what I feel. I will never come to you. I feel like such and such. Who care what I feel? Nobody cares. None of these guys care what I feel. What I'm going to tell you is what I saw watching the film. That's it.
Right.
And we can debate what I saw, but you're going to have to show me on film that it's wrong.
Well, and these pro scouts, right, have watched they've watched it.
The South Carolina game came to mind. Like
bullying is one thing.
It's
bullying is one thing, right? Like out manning a guy is one thing, right? But I'm telling you, right? Like when you get to the next level, you're not going to be able to bully everybody. It's just, the game is you're going to have to be smarter. Because there's always somebody who can out physical you at the line of scrimmage in the NFL. And when the scouts get to looking at him, right? This is why these pro days are going to be these workouts are so important. It tells them what level of investment you are to them. Millions of dollars get decided based on is this guy ready, or is he a project? Is he a 2-year project? Do we need to get him in and teach him some things and then let him hit the field? So,
and that's going to tell you where how high he gets drafted is going to tell you how they evaluate that ability. Who is that? That was we were talking to one of these guys. I think it was Devin. Was talking to us about how if you draft a guy in the first 2 rounds, you're expecting him to be a starter by year 2.
Yeah, that's what he said. So by year 2 minimum.
If Seth gets drafted in the first 2 rounds, you can tell someone said to themselves, this guy can be a starter on my team by his second year in the league.
Right.
Carl was talking about how the thing that shocked him the most going through his combine experience was the depth in which they were asking questions about. They were like bringing up scenarios about a particular play. Okay, take me back to when it was 3rd and 8 against South Carolina, and and there was an interception on this play. What happened on that play? What was the route that you were supposed to run? And right? Because they want to know, I saw this effort on the tape. Tell me what happened to produce this result.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're going to drill you on that stuff. And they're going to ask, what were you seeing from this defensive back that made you run your route in this way? What were you seeing from this and this and that? Like, because they want to know mentally, you've got it figured out. And everything else is just a byproduct of poor timing between you and the quarterback or whatever. They want to be able to eliminate the mental part and say, okay, he's got the physical gifts. I know he's coachable and he understands what's going on. I just got to get him to focus on a more consistent basis. Because honestly, despite the fact that he has a lot of catches, the film doesn't tell me that he is a pro caliber wide receiver right now. Right. And I think Seth Williams is phenomenally talented. It just doesn't say that.
To your point about the depth of the questions, right? Does anybody remember that so-called sneak in the national championship game that Cam tried to pull off? Chiswick called a kneel.
Yeah, 100%. Cam called his own number.
Right, and
Gruden grilled him about it.
Yeah, and they asked him about him. Right, in every interview, he got asked about whether he did what the coaches asked him to do, or whether he did what he wanted to do. Right, and so it won't just be about physical ability, because let me tell you something: these guys are only ignoring some of the mental and the character things if your physical ability the upside has to be exponential. Only the greatest of talents get that pass. And that's not what Seth has, right? So there's going to be some things that happened. I mean, listen, he was it versus Kentucky, he mossed the guy.
Right.
And it was a great catch, but he flexed right on him in front of the referee's face.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, where a 15-yard penalty of that sort really hurts your team. People get cut, man. People lose jobs because you had to flex on somebody after a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right. And he's going to get asked about all this stuff. My biggest worry with Williams and why he may not go as high is going to be about attitude and character. Right.
Because that translated to his effort consistently
on the field. He took plays off. The blow up between him and Nix on the sideline. Listen, they're going to play that tape back for him in his interviews, and they're going to ask him what's going on there. Because what if he gets drafted by Tampa? He won't, but by Tampa Bay, and that's Tom Brady.
No,
you in Tom Brady's face?
What if you get drafted by Detroit and the QB play is terrible, or a team where the QB play is terrible? Like, you can bark at Bo Nix for playing bad. You ain't about to bark at a $50 million quarterback, or walk off on the coach when he's trying to talk to you. Like, that's not gonna happen in the pros. So they gotta. I think he's 6th, 7th round. I hope he's better. Like, I really hope he's 4th round. I think that's the best case for him based on.
I got him 5th.
I can see him going around the 4th round. I think that's the high spot for me. But again, I ain't got no money to give you, Seth. So hey, if you get drafted in the 2nd round, more power to you, brother. Get your money.
A big war eagle to you.
Yeah.
I don't Marion Thomas, he did. I was amazed he didn't get penalized.
I was surprised he did not get. I thought he was going to get penalized plenty of times.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure,
it was worrisome. And then it was a classic moment versus Mississippi State where the DB was jawing at him.
Yeah.
Right. And then he comes back, and then he got it back. But I'm telling you, like, I mean, it just seemed like he was so borderline on some penalties and in a crap season for us in terms of record. And if the stakes were higher, I promise you that those things could have come back to bite him. Now, remember what we went through in 2010? Nick Fairley made a name for himself in that way. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the Iron Bowl, and he makes a clean sack on McElroy. Right. And he didn't. To me, it was not unsportsmanlike. But they called it on him anyway because he made a name for himself in that way.
His reputation preceded him by that point.
And it almost cost us. Now, he came back and he had the sack fumble to end the second half that, in my estimation, saved the game anyway. So he was just a playmaker. But, these kind of things matter, and they're going to grill you at the next level. I mean, I don't know if people understand the difference between being the last pick in the first round and the first pick in the second round is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That they're making these decisions based on.
Who was the kid that had the whole weed smoking video that dropped like the day before the
Tunsil.
draft?
Larry Tunsil.
Larry Tunsil.
Yeah, Larry Tunsil lost tens of millions of dollars just because he dropped like 10 spots in the draft.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge difference. And what you are able to show consistently on film speaks to your character more than some of these guys realize.
Right.
And when somebody comes and asks you about it, your answer can't just be, "Oh, I was upset." Because what's going to stop you is the only barrier between you being upset like this when it's going to cost us playoff appearances is your paycheck. Then I don't believe that. I don't believe just because we're paying you that all of a sudden you just won't do that anymore.
Yeah,
Right,
listen,
right.
this says him and Bo both need to be benched for those arguments. Like, listen, I wondered what this said about Bo's leadership ability. Right? I didn't come to any conclusions. It just made me wonder, right? Like, is our quarterback a leader of men? Are they listening to him?
He's not, man.
Right?
Listen,
Like,
we've seen that before where what it looked like was exactly the dynamic between Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. He's the guy because the brass says he's the guy, but the players are like, I don't want to play. I don't want to get overthrown, get underthrown, get missed on my route. I'm tired of that. But you're a pro and they're collecting checks, so they're going to continue to be professional. But when Jalen Hurts went in there, everybody livened up, man. Everybody had a little pep in their step. You could tell they didn't want Carson Wentz at quarterback anymore.
Right.
But they don't get to make that decision. Here, it looked like, and we all thought this, Gus had given Bo the preferential pick. Like he was going to keep playing no matter what. And unfortunately, Seth can't do anything about that. He can't go, hey, man, sit this guy down because you know that Bo's going to play. So you bark at Bo. You missing me, man. Like this is supposed to be my last year. I had this pegged out. I'm a junior. I was supposed to show out this year.
Exactly.
I'm not getting my numbers. I'm not
especially
getting
the way the season started, right? Like he started with Kentucky. He was going out there showing out. And then you get to the next game and it falls apart quickly. I think in his mind, Seth was like, I'm losing money right now. Get me the ball.
Right.
Right.
And every time he went wide open and nobody looked his direction, he got more frustrated. Every time he was open and it was a bad throw, he got more frustrated. Every time somebody else was open and the play broke down, he got more frustrated. Every time a DB was talking junk to him and he didn't get a chance to embarrass him, he got more frustrated. And listen, again, I know people get mad at me because they say I talk badly about our players. Again, I can't say anything that's not on film. You don't put it on film, I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
So
That's facts.
don't do it in the game, and I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. I can't speculate on anything that happened in practice. I didn't see that.
So
But I can tell you what I saw on the film.
So if you're Seth, what advantage is there to you to come? What are you going to prove in one more year of college football?
Well,
right.
Okay, so what
can you prove?
I think for him, it's all right. I set this goal. I said, I am this talented. I'm going to put in 3 years and I'm going to the league. I don't think he had the year he wanted to have. So for him, the question is, number one, do I trust Bo Nix to put me on display like I need to be on display?
Right.
I know it's a new coaching staff. I don't know them. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't know if they're going to make Bo better. So what am I going to do? Do I believe in me? Do I believe that, you know what, maybe I do have some slack in my game, but I'm going to put it on myself to pick up my slack, to step up my game to the next level and be out there in front of some pros, get that next level coaching, sign with the agent, and I'm going to bet on me to get this money that might be available to me right now because I don't know what's going to happen next year.
Right.
I was ready to dominate my junior year, and this guy was out here playing buns. Do I want to come back for that?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100.
I mean, no, we understand full well why Williams left.
But to Lawrence Robinson's point again, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree that
Mike
we had
and I just had this conversation. Was that today or yesterday? Well, I don't know. One day recently we were talking about it.
We had no choice. We had no choice. But that is the problem. The problem has been that we have no choice but to play him. That we don't have a backup to go to.
Let me ask y'all this though. So my question would be then, based on who left. So we know Malik Willis left, and we know now that he would, especially in a system that was Gus-ish, it was Chad Morris.
Okay.
But he would have been a very good second option, or probably a better first option.
Malik Willis should have been the starter, bro. I'm sorry, because the system was just made for him. Like he's, I don't think. Again, Mike and I were just talking about this. I don't think that Bo Nix is a worse thrower of the football than Malik Willis, right? I think for whatever reason, because Gus Malzahn said to himself he wanted to be more proficient passing the ball, he went with the guy with the better arm. But I just think that the upside for Malik Willis in this system was higher because he is more of a run threat than Bo Nix. And even though Bo Nix has a high level of athleticism, Malik Willis is he's like elite level athleticism from the quarterback position though. Right. And so I think he just fits better in that type of system that makes the defense have to be honest to that keep every single play.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's a difference between the guy can go get a first down and the guy's a home run threat. Malik Willis is a home run threat, right? If he tucks that ball and comes around the corner and you don't catch him within the first couple of yards, you might not.
Right. I just think at the end of the day, it wouldn't have mattered because of the guy coaching them and the guys calling plays, right? I honestly believe they would have run.
I still fault the wide receiver coaches too for Seth's lack of progression. I talked about this before. He's the same wide receiver he was freshman year.
Yeah.
You can't show me a thing that Seth Williams does better freshman to junior year and say anything other than who was coaching this guy, because he's the exact same wide receiver.
Right.
Y'all going off about the
and I just don't think we can take a person's success at another school and act like it would happen at Auburn. I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
And Malik Willis, by his own admission, was like, "Hey, I begin to take things seriously after Auburn." Right. And so you combine that with the coaching, everything in place. I don't know if Malik Willis becomes Malik Willis at Auburn.
Yeah,
right. And so we just have a new culture now where that can potentially happen. It's just up to the player.
I'll tell you what, Bo Nix at Ohio State sits his first 2 years. And by the time he hits the field, he is actually ready to go.
Yeah. Right, because they would have coached him up.
Right.
Because they have better quarterbacks to go in front of him. We did not have clearly better quarterbacks to go in front of him.
Joe Burrow didn't see the field at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't mean that he wasn't good, right? That means that they actually had, and you can't look at their end result and say that they made a bad decision with Joe Burrow. You just can't. Right. I mean, they're consistently in the conversation for everybody.
Same thing with now. That's the exact opposite of Justin Fields at Georgia. Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, they needed him.
I don't know what they were doing at Georgia to say Justin Fields is not our guy, but okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally you keep Fields on the team, but again, it was hard to argue with the amount of talent they seemingly had at the time, and these guys just aren't willing to wait. Fields wasn't willing to wait around.
An embarrassment of riches. They had an embarrassment at one time.
If he was willing to,
they were just okay.
If he was willing to wait, he eventually would have gotten that starting job at Georgia. I know he would.
Talking about Georgia.
Yes,
yeah.
Justin Fields.
Okay, so let's see. Wait. So Justin Fields probably would have started this year. He would have started this year after Fromm left, right? That would be his first year starting. The past season, the season that just passed.
He would have waited 2 years. He would have waited 2.
Yeah, 2 years. So let me get
this straight.
He would have.
You think Jake Fromm's a better quarterback than Justin Fields?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I'm saying eventually they would have pulled Fromm. And Fields would have seen the field.
Would have pulled from.
Yeah, I do believe. I think that if you look at the pattern in all these other schools, they change quarterbacks. Man, they're not afraid to pull the guy because they know that the guy who just barely lost the job is just as talented.
Well,
Auburn is the only place where we're starting the guy that's worse because we don't have anybody better.
No, I don't know.
Because Jim Chaney was the OC.
Better. Okay, gotcha.
There's nobody better.
Jim Chaney was the OC at Georgia, though, and what Jim Chaney wanted to do was not Justin Fields' strengths. Oh, hi, Ryan Day was like, "Oh, you give me this guy, bet, and I'm going to make. Well, I have the athletes and the system to make him shine in a way that Georgia was not willing to do."
That's a good point, B. Because he didn't fit. I thought it was an odd recruit.
Yeah, I mean, so we can say for sure Justin Fields probably picked the wrong school initially, because I mean. I'm gonna be honest with you. They had to offer that man some money because nothing about that made sense. That they were back there making him run fake punts and stuff. I mean, like, what are we doing with Justin Fields? Let's be for real.
But again, when you recruit so much talent, I take Fromm over Nix.
Yeah, well, that's
I'll take anybody in that Georgia room over anybody that we had
a way different
at
conversation.
Auburn at quarterback.
No, you know
what
why?
are we talking about?
Okay, yeah, if we're gonna get
in
their
our
O-line
system, I don't
and
think
their
Jake
running
Fromm.
backs, you're gonna give us all their talent too.
I was about to say we have to change systems completely.
Here,
I mean, you
with
had
this O-line?
Stidham. You had Stidham.
Stidham's more athletic than Jake Fromm.
Yeah. Jake Fromm was mid. He was just at a place just littered with talent. He had Sony Michel and Chubb running the ball. Georgia has offensive linemen getting drafted top 3 rounds every year. That's not what we have here. Jake Fromm would have been Bo Nix, probably worse. Nah, I don't know about worse.
Under our coaches, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's why I'm saying in our system, like, you're gonna have to replace a lot of stuff to put Jake Fromm over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, come on, man. He wasn't 57% in high school. He was always a more accurate quarterback.
We're not talking. I think Jake Fromm is a more accurate passer. But at best, Jake Fromm is a game manager. He's not a game breaker, right?
Okay.
And so,
oh shit, that's what we got now.
I don't even know if we have a game manager right now.
He's not a game manager. We want him.
He is a game breaker. He breaks the game.
So, but listen, for whatever it is, we can't fall. I think people have fallen in love with the potential that Bo Nix shows, and he has a ton of it. But at the end of the day, I don't want to break it up too much. But AT said, listen, potential. I don't remember if this was on camera or off camera, but he was basically saying, like, if you saying a guy has a lot of potential, that means that he's not showing it on the field. It never transferred into actuality on the field. And that's literally the worst thing that you have as a player, is a bunch of potential, because people are basically saying you never show it. Right. And that's what people keep trying to feed me with Bo Nix, is potential. And it's like, so when am I going to see it? Where the offensive line? Where the receivers? Where the coaching staff? When am I going to see...
And let me tell you, these NFL teams are not investing millions of dollars in that kind of potential. As a matter of fact, top 3 rules of falling in love is don't fall in love with potential.
Right.
Show it to me first. So, like, I'll tell you this, right? Again, talent evaluation is going to, I want to bring this full circle back to evaluation, right? Talent evaluation is going to change, right? And because we're talking about Pro Day, we're working on a segment where we bring in an NFL scout to talk about how they evaluate talent and what they see when they look at players. What are the things that they look for? Because I get a lot of heat for giving you guys advanced statistics, but these scouts look at those advanced statistics because they're able to tell a story about a guy who, may look good on paper, but before they invest millions of dollars, they're digging into every single part of your life. They want to know what you ate for breakfast. They want to know, why did you run this play? They go into literally everything. So that being said, these statistics also tell a story about guys who maybe didn't see the field as much, right? So maybe the potential that we're talking about, you didn't get a chance to show it because your coaches just didn't play you for some reason, because that happens. And they say, wait, this guy never saw the field as much, but look at his athletic ability. Let's look at these statistics, man. And maybe we should give this guy a shot.
Devin, he finally showed up.
Hey, Devin. So, like, I just don't think that if you are looking at what we have and how we're going to evaluate in the future, I'll be interested to see what these scouts have to say about the players that we have that decided to jump.
Right.
Again, for Seth, I honestly don't believe he benefited from coming back another year. It was the right decision for him to go.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't fault him or Schwartz for saying, all right, I've had enough of this.
Yeah, it's gun. Right. Let me just go show, if you believe in your God-given talent, it's time to go to the next level and show somebody that knows how to see what you got. Right. That's it. Right. And then hopefully the team that he goes through knows how to put him in the best position to use his talents. So many of Bama and Florida and Georgia, so many of their players get drafted.
I don't even know if Walt is here tonight.
I don't even know if he's here
tonight, but we still appreciate that.
Hey, Corey. I think so many of their players get drafted because they actually get the opportunity to showcase their talents on the field. So it's easier to evaluate their guys because, like you said, it's not just a bunch of potential. You could see it on the field.
Right.
Yeah, our guys are going in late rounds or not at all because they don't get the chance to show it on the field.
Even
You
though,
know?
and I
And
think
that's
this is
go
a
ahead,
side
man.
effect of what happens at Alabama as well, is you look great when everybody around you is great. You look better on tape than you're going to look, because not only is everybody around you great, the competition you're playing, there's no team that is more talented than you, and very rarely are you lining up against a team that is equally as talented as you. And in the NFL, everybody's as talented as you, if not better. It's very, very low chance you are just the best out of this world player. That's what the Pro Bowl is. That's what Aaron Donald is. That's what Aaron Rodgers is, Mike. But when you're at Bama, so they kind of get that preferential treatment to a certain extent, because scouts see them on tape doing their job extremely well and excelling. The problem is, as has been alluded to with Tua, and I asked that question early last year.
You did.
Mac
And
Jones
you know
is
what?
looking really good.
I scoffed at it initially when you said
did.
it, but after I watched last year play out, I had to agree with B. Will's assessment that Tua might have been a product of the talent around him and not the other way around.
And I think they asked a couple of wide receivers.
No, they asked Devontae Smith specifically who he would choose between the two of them, and without hesitation, he picked the new guy over Tua.
Of course he did, man. He's a pocket quarterback. Yeah, he got to, right? You made him a Heisman contender.
Tua is not. It's not that he's not a pocket quarterback. He holds the ball too long. He's used to, when you can have a guy running butt naked down the field and you know you can get 6, you want to get 6. But Matt Jones, so I'm going to take what is given to me. Fortunately for him, what was given to him was wide receivers just running butt naked all over the field. But he also knew when to not throw it or when to get it out of his hands. He made better decisions. Tua was too prone to make a mistake.
He wanted to hit the home run every time.
All the time. Yeah.
Gus would have loved him.
He would have,
I just think I'm excited for this pro day because it's going to tell me a lot about the talent that we have in the talent that's left, right? There could be a bunch of potential that actually gets their chance to show it on the field next year under different talent evaluators. So if they come through and Schwartz is like the top 3 round pick, and Seth is a top 3 round pick, and Stove goes in the late rounds, then that'll tell me something about what we actually had.
Yeah. Can we talk about this graph real quick though? Of
Yeah.
Let me throw this up real quick. We hadn't talked about this. This is the list of people who have been invited to the combine by school in the SEC. So we're talking about people who the NFL scouts thought had enough talent that they wanted to see a little bit more. This is where Auburn ranks on that list. Number 9 in the number of people who have been invited to the NFL Combine. I just put Boise down here at the bottom just to kind of show you that hopefully this is not a trend. It's going to be the direction that we're coming out of. But,
hey, War Eagle.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, War Eagle.
But yeah, so what do you guys think about this right here? What do you think about that?
Well,
it's troubling.
I'm looking forward to changes on the plains. What I think about
that trend has to change, man.
I'm looking forward to hey, let's get ready to drink. I'm looking forward to days of strength and conditioning. I'm looking forward to development. I'm looking forward to putting these guys in positions so they can succeed. I'm looking forward to better play calling. I'm looking forward to better evaluation and utilization of talent, better roster management. These things to put us in position to where we're actually winning games and competing in games.
Facts.
It puts eyes on these kids to be able to showcase what they can do. That's what I'm looking forward to under this coaching staff. We know what went wrong under the previous coaching staff, but I'm looking forward to seeing these new things. And again, it's why we've been excited, is because we see a head coach that gets up early in the morning and works out.
Right.
And we will be happy for him if that happens, right?
We will see.
We see a head coach who's willing to get up in the morning and work out with these kids. I'm looking at a coach who's talking about these guys eating right, training right, preparing for the long haul. And again, like the mottos, the 4th and 1 mentality. You know what I mean? Winning the day. Getting better, doing the little things right, the little things that you do, it matters. Like the messaging that he's in the culture he's instilling, those things are important. And so if we start doing those things, you're probably going to start seeing guys who are buying in. We're going to see more and more and more of that.
Yeah.
More guys being invited to these combines. So
I can't agree enough with this
Brad Shields
comment.
says, for the love
Absolutely.
of God, please
Absolutely.
shoot tight end. We've got too
Yeah.
much.
Absolutely.
We have had
Yeah.
too much
Absolutely.
talent. Like, I know Sal Cannella was probably so upset that he chose Auburn to come to for his college career, because
Not
Sal
really.
Cannella,
I think he did well for what he was. He caught the clutch touchdown pass.
he
here and
did
there.
well.
Enough. He wasn't big enough
He
as a
wasn't
tight end to
he
be a
wasn't
truly blocking tight end. That
But
was
see,
his problem.
that's what the problem is, because he's not a truly blocking tight end. He's a pass catching tight end.
Right.
So you're supposed to use the guy for what he's good at, which is getting open and throwing him the ball. And they
He
did
caught a
not
few
do like
touchdowns.
he did, but that's my point, is that it should have been
he
a
could have
lot
caught
more.
more. He could have caught more for
Who
sure.
was his
As
quarterback?
many trips as again,
We
that's
know
why
this.
I said that's
We
why
know
I
this.
said he is regretting making the decision to come to Auburn, because he thought he was coming to a place where he could get utilized.
I bet Schwartz regrets coming to Auburn. Seth regrets coming to Auburn. Their last 2 years were with Bo as quarterback and a terrible offensive line. Not a terrible, a mediocre
It's
to bad
average,
offensive
very
line.
average offensive line.
Right.
Listen, I don't want to say, I hate saying that we wasted guys, but these last 2 years
wasted
have
them.
been the worst
We
2
wasted
years
them, B.
for an offensive player.
Yeah.
Since
We
I'm
wasted
trying to
them.
imagine when it was worse. I don't know if
It's been a while. It's been a while since our offense has been this embarrassing to see.
Pretty bad
Yeah.
in 2012.
Yeah, I would just say
pretty
uh,
bad.
And those guys got a reprieve in 2013. Instant. Look, turn around. There you go. Success.
Yeah,
it was pretty
2015.
bad. It was pretty bad. 2012,
2015.
Wait,
2015
hold,
too.
hold,
2015.
hold on. Pump the brakes, Corey. Hold on. Where is it? Corey, where have you been, sir? What? What do you mean we playing a drinking game? We play this drinking game every time. If somebody, so okay, for the uninitiated, I guess we should tell everybody, because you might not be hip to the inside jokes and stuff like that. That might have predated you watching the channel a little bit, Corey.
Corey knows.
Anytime somebody mentions strength and development, strength and conditioning, or development, you're supposed to take a drink, right? Like, that's just kind of how it goes. So if you mention
drink is
those
your
two
choice.
things, whatever you like, it don't have to be alcohol, but you go get you a Rapport mug. And then every time somebody mentions one of those things, you take a drink.
Hey,
That's how it goes. That's how we get down here.
yeah, we did waste a lot of talent. Listen,
Agreed.
yeah.
Agreed
I
about
hate to say
CJ Uzoma.
yeah, Uzoma was a great tight end.
Bro,
But Uzoma is a
his
guy
shot.
who could block really well too, though. So
Yes,
it's
he could
though
do
he
both.
did not get a chance to show some of the other things that he could do, because he was so good at blocking, he could still make it to the league, because people are like, oh, okay, he's an athletic freak, and we know he can do this well. Let's see what else we could do with him, right? And he was able to do that. Sal Cannella was specialized at a thing. Like, you think about like an Eric Ebron in the league. Nobody thinks Eric Ebron's good at blocking, but they know he's going to get open and he's going to catch the ball, right? And that's the kind of skill set Sal Cannella had. He was not in the offense that allowed him to do that.
Right. Yeah. Listen, I CJ Uzoma was one of my favorite tight ends that came through Auburn. And it's time to does anybody remember Cooper Wallace? Like,
Yeah.
super underutilized.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Tight, I mean, he was a good tight end. I'm not gonna say underutilized. He was a
Good
good tight
hands.
end. Yeah, great hands. I mean, if you threw him the ball, he was gonna catch it. He made some big plays in his time at Auburn.
Oh my God, I wanted
Brandon
to see what
Fultz
we
was
was going to
Fultz,
do with
yeah.
this guy.
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there were some tight ends that we had come through that just didn't last because we didn't use them as well, too. Some highly recruited guys,
Yeah.
some 4 and 5-star guys that came through, and it just was no plan
And
to
we
incorporate them
now
in.
have the opportunity to get a reprieve on that, because we have our tight end room is one of the best tight end rooms I've seen at Auburn in years. There is no reason why we can't be in 12 and 22 personnel consistently,
Right.
Yes.
having 2 tight ends on the field and have the ability to, out of the same formation, do a ton of different things, because we have the talent. I'm pretty high on JJ Pegues. I know I keep pumping, his name out here. I don't know the brother in real life. I just think that he blocks too well, and also has the athletic ability to with nimble feet to not be utilized in an offense. It just doesn't make sense to me how you don't figure out a way to keep him on the field, figure out how to get his conditioning the way that it needs to be so he can be a 3-down guy, and he consistently make plays for you, whether it's in the blocking scheme or putting the ball in his hands. I just don't understand how that could possibly happen. We found a way to do that last year, though. We found a way to make sure that he was only available. I mean, we saw in the Ole Miss game, we saw him make that dude, the DB that came. He absolutely made that. He made him look like a little kid on the field, right? We saw game 1 against Kentucky. They ran him out on. So he ran the fly sweep motion as whatever size he is, tight end, then come across the field and just intimidate the hell out of a DB to the point where the guy just kept backing up because he's like, I don't want no parts of that block. And that's the reason why Anthony Schwartz was able to take that wide receiver screen. Look at this. Look at this room.
Don't forget about Luke Deal. You're leaving him out.
Luke Deal, Shanker, Fromm, Frazier, Pegues, 5 quality tight ends. Shanker's probably the only one that's really more of a fullback, H-back. Like he can play tight end just because he blocks well. But all the rest of those guys should be an end cap tight end that you can put out there consistently, and they have enough athleticism to catch the ball, and they are definitely good enough with their hands and their ability to put a guy on the ground and pancake block.
Landon King,
There's no Landon.
Get ready, get ready for the multiple tight end sets. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking to see us use these guys in unique ways. I'm just excited to see guys that's exciting that never got used.
The thing that's exciting about it for me is it means that you don't have to exchange personnel.
Right.
You can run out of the same base set, but you can run so much stuff if you can figure out how to put both of those guys on the field at the same time. Shift one of those guys back to be a fullback on a play. Next play, he's going to be lining up at the end. Next play, he's going to be split out wide. But you don't ever have to substitute anybody. And you can go faster, right? You can do the thing that Gus wants to do, which is go faster out of the same personnel set. You just give them a different look. Same guys.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And you're actually using them.
It's going to be exciting to watch, right?
That.
As practice starts, right? And I think that the first scrimmage is actually going to be Saturday the 27th. Right. So once that scrimmage comes, if I'm not sure if it's going to be open or if they're going to do a closed scrimmage, but I'll be on pins and needles to hear what we're hearing, see what we're hearing coming out of that. Is anybody separating themselves? Listen, man, this is the debut of Demetrius Davis. I've been trying to tell everybody, listen, this kid is coming. And he's not coming to ride the bench year 1. He's coming to push for the job. And whether he wins it or not, Auburn wins if he pushes for the job.
I can't imagine this, Joshua. I can imagine 3 tight ends on the field and JJ as a fullback. But I can imagine all of that, and I can see us steamrolling guys in the running game, and then the play action game being unstoppable. That's exactly what I can see. Because, again, if you're running out of 22 personnel, right, you got 2 tight ends and 2 running backs, a running back and a fullback. It's 22 personnel for those of you who don't know the terminology. If you have 22 personnel on the field and you are consistently just mashing guys at the point of attack, like your offensive line is downhill and you've got a lead blocker coming through and you're able to get the edge because Tank is really good about bouncing that thing out to the outside, and then you turn around and you act like you're going to give him the ball, and then instead of blocking, JJ Pegues or one of these other guys slips that block and goes upfield, he's going to be wide open just because you just don't know what's coming. Yes, I can imagine that, and it makes me very happy to be able to see that that's a potential thing based upon what I've seen from both Mike Bobo and Brian Harsin with the offenses that they've run previously. That is absolutely a thing that can happen, and it is going to be impossible to stop if the run game is blocked well.
You can neglect your assignments defensively with Gus because you just knew what he was going to do. Under these guys, you're going to have to be disciplined because you're going to have to account for guys now on the field. You have to defend the whole field now. So looking forward to it, man. 6 days. 6 days, guys.
Man. 6 days. I see Wesley asking about spring practice schedule. Tuesdays and Thursdays for film review. So that is normally how it goes, right? They'll get some stuff on tape. This is everybody's introduction into this new offense. So this spring practice is really, really, really important for these guys learning a new system. To the extent that they did not have to learn a new system last spring headed into the fall. That's the only thing that kept our season from being a complete disaster. right, with no spring practices. So
I'm hoping they can stay safe, avoid any COVID, anything that delays the spring. So hoping they can get through with a good spring with no guys being held out, and they can catch on and learn as much as they can. So
yeah, for
No
sure,
injuries.
definitely.
I think we've all said that, but man, I don't want any torn Achilles or ACLs. Like, please, man, just everybody make it through this camp, getting all the work you need to get in, and I don't want anybody to be out for the summer and fall.
Right, strength
Agreed.
and conditioning. They're doing it right now. They're doing
Drink,
strength
guys.
and conditioning, right? Like strength and conditioning, and you'll worry less about injuries. The weight room videos I've enjoyed the most coming out of this pre-camp weightlifting strength training that they're doing. It looks intense in there. It looks like there's a lot of competition, a lot of enthusiasm in the weight room. And that enthusiasm will certainly transfer to the field on Saturdays because they are cultivating a winning mindset in the weight room right now. So the Iron Man of the Week thing, is that something we were always doing, or did that start with Harsin?
No.
I think they've been.
I bet say if they had a concept like it, I don't think that they were doing it. The social media push to make sure that they were highlighting that.
Yeah, I think they were doing it. They were doing it, but
again, to me, that shows a concerted effort by this staff to say these are the things that we want to highlight about our spring practice, or about our off-season program.
Right.
Our off-season program is going to be focused on highlighting guys who are working hard in the gym, and we want to make sure that it's something that you all can be proud of. That your work right here matters to us, and we see it. We're going to recognize it, not just amongst one another and because the bell's been there for a while when they're doing max days and all that.
Right.
But we want to make sure the public knows we're in here working. You guys don't have to worry about that. Yes, we are putting in work. Everybody's doing it. And we want to highlight a different guy every time. I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, guys,
yeah, we
already at the hour and a half.
I ran my
Let's go
mouth
ahead
way too much tonight. I apologize, y'all.
Oh no, man, the people love it.
your
It's
thing.
provocative. Get the people going.
Film breaker downer guy, you do your thing.
Oh man, listen.
Go ahead and take us out, Mike.
Yep. So again, we appreciate everybody joining us. Tomorrow is Chop It Up with a Pro, Devin Aromashadu. If you are an insider, you will get to ask Devin any question you want. If you're not an insider, you will only for this month be able to view but not ask any questions. So please don't send me any angry DMs asking why you couldn't ask questions if you are not an insider. I'm completely humbled and blown away by the generosity in the super chats tonight. If you want to continue to support the work we do, please hit that GoFundMe. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. It's labeled Help Us Grow. So we appreciate you guys continuing to do that. The merch store is up. Listen, the merch store is hot. We're about to drop some new strength and conditioning merch for you guys. So if you want to get your weight up, visit that merch store. And as always, become a member, right? This is the best way to support what we do, is just with a small monthly contribution to help us continue to increase our production value, and being able to bring you guys more interviews, more access, more analysis, more of the things that you want from the War Report. So your donations give us the time to be able to continue to produce the content that you like, and we appreciate that support.
Yes, we do, guys, and continue to support, continue to share, continue to put people onto our show. We need it, guys. It helps us out a ton. If you haven't done it already, what are you doing? Please like and subscribe to our show on YouTube. You can also find us at The War Report on Instagram and Twitter. We're also TW Report on TikTok. Fellas, we're signing off. But as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.